Hello. I have not done much in the last few weeks, and I knew this was going to be hit and miss as things would come up for me to talk about. So I haven't really felt bad about that. Um, but I did feel like today I wanted to talk a little bit about recent events in my life and about regret and whether there is anything to be gained by having regrets. So here's what happened. A couple weeks ago, I got a text from my daughter asking me to call my niece, and I had lost touch with her because I had lost touch with my sister. I hadn't talked to my sister in 6 years, and it seemed to be a two-way choice. It's not like I was being contacted by her and saying, oh no, I'm not going to talk to you. Both my parents had died, and there were some estate issues, and there was just a point when I was dealing with all this medical stuff and still not understanding what was causing it, didn't know about the tumor yet, that I decided, you know what, it's not worth it. Having an equal distribution of this estate is not worth the stress it's causing me. So the lawyer got that wrapped up, and I just didn't see my sister again. And so this is 6 years. I call my niece and I find out my sister is loaded with cancer. She just found out and now has been told that it's time to go into hospice. I mean, it had spread, it was an aggressive cancer. It didn't look good. And I was told by my niece that it probably would be better to visit when she got back home after a few days in the hospital and was, under a hospice program. And so I had those few days to think about, could I even pull off a visit? And I guess I should explain, this is not like there were some egregious offenses. Just from as long ago as I could remember, we just were such different people that we couldn't seem to coexist peacefully. We just were that different. And of course, there were family dynamics, favoritism, and all that bullshit every family has. And when we got older, we were pregnant with our children together, actually. We tried to be friends, but it just wasn't gonna work. I don't know if it's such a different vibration or just, I don't know what it was. We tried, but it just wasn't happening. And so me not contacting her was basically the first time I had chosen to do what was best for me, because I never felt good after I'd been around her. I just felt bad. And it was literally, I can't remember another time, literally the first time I said, you know what, I value myself enough that I'm not going to expose myself to this anymore. I mean, really, there's a point for freedom from what society expects, what's proper, all that. It really was the first time I took a stand for myself. So anyway, I wasn't sure if I could even accomplish a visit, to be honest, because no matter what I said, I would set her off in the past. And I didn't want to aggravate her, cause any agitation, and I was very anxious about it. I didn't know if I would screw everything up and just cause the situation to blow up and have it be even worse with her dying. But she did get home, and her pain couldn't be managed. She went back into the hospital, and my niece told me it just didn't look good, and did I want to come visit? And I thought, you know what? I'll just I'll just do my best. That's all anyone can do, right? As it turns out, my sister wasn't conscious, and she never was again. So if I had had the need to unload, if I had my long laundry list and felt the need to, you know, haul them out there to tell her all the reasons I was mad at her or hadn't contacted her or whatever, if I had that desire, which I did not, I would have been speaking to an unconscious person. And it was a bit of a dilemma, but I thought, what the hell, I'm just going to talk to her as if she's sitting across from me and nodding as if she is interested. And I filled her in on what I'd been doing for the last 6 years. I tried to give her some reassurance that she wasn't just going to be dead and gone, that she'd be surrounded by unconditional love and she'd have another shot at this living stuff. If anything was going to get through, I think that was most important to me. I wanted her to know. She'd still be around. She could pester us if she wanted to. And then I decided to do the Ho'oponopono because I didn't know what was going on in her head. Maybe she was just almost there, almost able to communicate. Maybe she had a list of offenses that she had hoped to air if we had had the chance to talk. So I did the Ho'oponopono, which can cover so much in these 4 simple words. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I had been worried that maybe I couldn't tell her I loved her. It just had been, not the kind of lifetime of sisters where we would say that, or mean it, I guess, if we were forced into saying it. But I choked up on that I love you. And it was reassuring to me to know, despite everything, it turns out I did love her. And I could say that honestly. She died just a couple days ago, never returning to consciousness. If I had been putting off dealing with things I really needed to, I never would have had the chance. If the last time we talked there had been a big blow up and we had been holding grudges, there never would have been a time to clear the air. It was just that fast. I mean, like 2 weeks since I learned about it, and she was gone. So, regret. Do I spend my time beating myself up because I should have approached her and tried to make amends of whatever it was? I mean, really, it was just us both being who we were and not being very good with each other. Should I regret that I did this in 6th grade? Should I regret that I didn't do this when she was 30? I could have all these regrets. But what is the point? What is the point of regret? Isn't regret really saying, oh man, I wish I could go back and do it differently? Well, you can't. You cannot go back and do things differently. You can learn from them. You can maybe do things differently in the future. And regret is different than guilt to me. And guilt would imply that you somehow had intention to cause some harm. There was none of that. If I was going to be feeling something, it would be regret. But really, with all that I know now, having done the personal work, I couldn't see the point. I coped with the circumstances as they were in the best way I could at the time. She obviously coped in her own way. Um, so what I decided to do was to find the good in it. I know I'm kind of a Pollyanna, but I mean, why not? I got to reconnect with my beautiful niece who has turned into a lovely young woman. And I hope to keep her in my life and to see her often. So there is that good thing. So I thank my sister for bringing me back together with my niece, because I think she will be a blessing to my life, and I think maybe I will be one to hers. I kind of figured that my sister left a little bit of a legacy in that there were other family members that felt kind of bad about their choices as to her, about not contacting her. And if there had been a memorial service, and the decision was made not to have one other than a small personal honoring of her, I would have said, if we've learned anything, we've learned how easy it is to quit making an effort. And we've learned that it doesn't feel so good when we look back and think about how we should have done this or shouldn't have done that when we're about to lose a person, or did just lose a person and never had a chance to make it right. So, as a way to honor my sister, if you've got someone in your life that you haven't talked to in years, and you think about it on occasion and think maybe you should do something about that. Sorry, crude expression here, but shit or get off the pot. Do something about it now. Honor your cousin, my sister, by making amends now, by making an effort now. I mean, what is the point of just sitting around having regrets when you could learn something positive? You could learn, okay, I could have done that differently. I could have done that better. What if that were me in that position? How would I have felt? I mean, it's not a cool situation. It's not a cool situation that someone had to go through that kind of shock and quick decline at such a young age. But in life, shit happens like that. And for the people that cut her out of their life and that were then feeling bad, I mean, it's like, what's the point? Do something so it doesn't happen in the future. Do something positive now with someone else in your life so you don't have more regrets. There's just no point to regrets, is my point. You can't go back. Why spend the time saying, I wish I'd made a different choice? It's done. There's no fixing it. Instead of having regrets, think of something you can do to change things for the future. We don't know how long we have on this earth. We don't know that about the people in our lives. Maybe the best way of honoring someone is to honor ourselves by letting ourselves off the hook. I mean, it's just wasted thought, really. Pulls us back to a past that we can't do anything about, which keeps us from being present in the moment. So maybe to honor, we honor ourselves, and we see what other people in our lives, what other areas can we switch things up and do things differently, and so that we don't again find ourselves wasting time on regret. It's just thought. All right, take care. Bye.